There were once some 52,816 miles of paved roads spanning the Roman Empire. Even as the empire collapsed, cities and towns, traditions and cultures continued to thrive along the roadside. Take the Via Aquitania, a Roman road in what was formerly southern Gaul, which connected the cities of Narbonne, Toulouse, and Bordeaux. Over 248 miles long, it passes straight through the regions of Languedoc-Roussillon, Midi-Pyrénées and Aquitaine. Even today, the A61 and A62 motorways, as well as the French national road RN 113, follow the old route. In 200 BC, Languedoc-Roussillon, formerly Gallia Narbonensis, was a Roman province. Proudly known as the first daughter of Rome, Narbonne, the first colony to be founded outside Italy. This is where the great roads met. Gaul's first Roman road, the Via Domitia, stretching from Italy to Spain, crossed paths with the Via Aquitania, which connected the Mediterranean Sea with the Atlantic Ocean. The Pont des Marchands. Today there is only one remaining arch across the Canal de la Robine. In Roman times, there were 7 of them spanning the river Atax. Governor Agrippa ordered the first canal to be dug, thereby connecting Narbonne to the Mediterranean Sea. Thus, Narbo Martius became the richest city on the coast, and after Ostia, Rome's second largest port. Beneath Narbonne lies the Horaeum, a storehouse dating back to 100 BC and rediscovered during the Second World War. Spanish amphora were found and artistic masonry. These finds date from 1869, when the Roman city wall around Narbonne was torn down. These are the remains of a Roman mausoleum dismantled by the Romans themselves to hastily build defenses against the barbarians. Around 2,000 pieces formed 3 1/2-foot thick fortifications. Not far from the canal stands a construction of glass and cast iron, Narbonne's indoor market. It's several hundred years old, yet even today, there are over 70 stalls selling regional produce, specialties from land and sea, a Narbonne tradition dating back to Roman times. These 2 brothers make a living from their trade, just as the former conquerors did.
I'm Gilles. I'm a fishmonger at Les Halles. I sell fish and I also do some fishing in the lagoon.
My name is Jean-Louis. I'm just a fishmonger. I was a fisherman for 10 years back in the 70s, an oysterman. I buy Mediterranean fish every afternoon at the wholesale fish market at the new port.
It depends on the time of year. I'm very busy fishing from, say, September to the end of December. Then the rest of the time, I don't have a lot of nets in the water. I'm at work, meaning I'm at Les Halles. We have 2 stores and 2 separate stalls. They both have the same name, but we work independently.
Our stands face each other. We're competitors.
But we haven't gone as far as throwing fish in each other's faces yet.
We're not Asterix.
Not yet, anyway.
Étang de Bages-Sigeon. In antiquity, the Roman river port of Narbonne was on this lagoon, which opens out into the Mediterranean. Today, it provides good fishing.
So did you go fishing or what? It isn't full.
Tu le passes avec Gallia après ça. Ouais. Ah, il y a des beaux d'accord.
The sea. Personally, I never go. The beach and all that, I don't really like it.
Same here. The sea, the sand, I probably haven't set foot on it for 15 years. For us, the sea is a resource. I went to sea for 10 years, but not since 1980. I'm not in the Navy anymore, and I don't go to the lagoon anymore either. So no, I don't really have any connection to the lagoon. Fishing, no.
This is this morning's whole catch, not much. A few nice ones, though. The eels are starting to look good, but there's not much. I hope the fishing will be better in the next few days.
The Via Aquitania. Today, traces of this road can still be found leading through the vineyards of Crusades. Nearby is the Château de Luc. The castle has been owned by the same family since 1840. In cellars dating back to the 14th century, wines are kept and specialties cultivated, such as this vin de liqueur, which is traditionally produced.
Now sit down and don't move. Sit, sit. Keep still, just watch. What I'm going to say is very interesting. So here we are in the Solera of Luc-sur-Orbieu. The wine in these barrels comes from Gasparet, a terroir that's right nearby. The origin of the name Gasparet, Gaseo Parentis, means the stone-paved ford, so it's a Roman road. Up there is wine we harvested that comes from Grenache. We harvested that last year. This level here is wine that my father harvested. And down there is a mix of wine that I harvested, that my father harvested, and that my grandfather harvested too. I don't think we're going to be able to start a band. Do you, Bemol? Do you want to be a musician? Let's give it a try. What's that? Bemol? Bemol's a really faithful dog. He likes walking in the vineyards with me. We named him Bemol, which means flat, like sharp or flat in music, because the kids used to study music. And unfortunately, it'd be a good name for a dog who was a bit calmer.
Shall I start? I'm Marie Fabre-Tesserin. I work here at the Château de Luc with my brother Louis. I'm in charge of PR and of some of the overseas exports.
Okay, I'm Louis Fabre. I've been growing wine at Luc for about 30 years now. I'm one more link in the Fabre family chain that has been working these same pieces of land for 12 or 13 generations now.
When we fight, we really go at it. Fortunately, it doesn't happen often.
The family's treasure trove, a place where some unusual valuables from childhood are kept. Things found in the Villa Veridus vineyard over the past 50 years.
You can really see the dogs there.
Yeah.
A running dog.
That's Caesar. And on the other side, there's a horse. This was a coin we used for the labels for Villa Veridus.
Great memories.
You really worked hard on those.
Yeah, we aged the paper and everything. the Museum of Roman Antiquities. We did a magnificent job on that, remember? We even had an exhibition where everyone got a little booklet with wax seals. We thought everything Roman was just great. The high point of that period was in 6th grade, when we studied ancient Rome. We cut out so much stuff, the walls were completely papered over. I remember whole rooms papered with our treasures. And we found a big wooden vat for stomping grapes in the attic at Crusades. Granted, it wasn't from Roman times, it must have been from the Middle Ages. We could really picture the Romans trampling grapes inside it.
With their feet.
That's right. And managing to make wine.
Today, he keeps 865 acres of vineyards. Through one of these, the Viridus, runs the Via Aquitania. Right here, approximately 2,000 years ago, a Roman estate, also called a villa, offered a place to rest and change horses on the road from Narbonne to Bordeaux.
When I walk through the vines, I'm nostalgic for my childhood. I always hope I'll find a shard. Papa wasn't the least bit interested in all things Roman, not like we are. He had other hobbies, like mechanics. So he wanted to plow as deep as possible because he thought it was good for the soil. Breaking Roman artifacts didn't bother him in the least. As far as he was concerned, if something was broken, it was useless. It wasn't something that interested him.
The Canal du Midi, the oldest working canal in Europe. A dream even for the ancient Romans. A waterway running from the Mediterranean right over to the Atlantic. Yet the canal has only connected the Mediterranean with the city of Toulouse since 1681. During construction, 60,000 trees were planted to reinforce its banks, poplars, pines, and cypresses. And this too lay along the old trade route. Carcassonne's medieval landmark, the Cité de Carcassonne, a symbol of defense. 1.86 miles long, it dominated the Aude Valley with its double fortress walls and 52 towers. Today, it is one of the best preserved fortress towns in Europe. Romans, Visigoths, Saracens, and Crusaders have all left their distinct mark. At the foot of the Montagne Noire, the Black Mountain, in an area where Romans used to mine ore, lies the village of Montaulieu, a village of books. The art of writing had already been mastered in ancient Rome with capitalis monumentalis, also known as lapidary writing. First engraved on stone, it was later found on papyrus and wax tablets. In Montaulieu, calligraphy has been celebrated and honored since 1989. There are bookstores, antiquarian bookshops, art studios, galleries, and a museum. It's a small heaven for bibliophiles specializing in French culture in written and bound form. Not far from Montaulieu is Brousse et Villaret. In 1674, this was a center for the paper industry. The village alone boasted 6 paper mills. Today, this 300-year-old mill is the last of its kind in Languedoc-Roussillon, and only one of 10 left in the whole of France.
I was born here in the house next to the mill, right there at the mill. When I was growing up, the mill itself was our playground, not just for the kids in my family, but for all the kids in the village. My name is André Durand, and my main job is PR, because getting visitors out here in the middle of nowhere takes a lot of work. And I'm also the president of the Friends of the Brousse paper mill. Personally, my favorite paper, my pride and joy, is the elephant dung paper, because we're definitely the only mill in Europe that makes elephant dung paper. Let me tell you a story. When I called the safari park nearby, the administration, there was like this long silence. They thought I was kidding, so they said, we'll get back to you. But of course, nobody did, because they thought it was a joke. Well, I have this image of my father, who was always working, even on Saturdays and Sundays, all the time. The only break he took was a good long nap in the afternoon. Obviously, considering how hard he worked, so he was a really hard worker, who was always there. Did you like your job?
You had to do it. You had to eat. There was a family. There were 5 kids to feed. So you didn't think about it. You had to do it. You did it.
Did you do it for a long time?
Oh, we did it for a long time. But I mostly worked with the machines. There was a bell. As soon as it reached the right thickness, the bell would ring, and up, you had to remove the sheet from the cylinder.
It was cardboard.
Yes, it was cardboard. Well, it was paper, a sheet of paper like that. It came, got rolled up, and we adjusted it to the thickness ordered. Don't we have a sheet around here somewhere?
No, but they'll see some later. So this is a cardboard doll made from sheets of cardboard that are heat molded. The body is actually made out of cardboard. You can't really tell that it's cardboard. It's hard to see. Because it's painted and all that. His whole life was here, so he's already transmitted quite a bit. But I think he still has other things to pass on, because there's stuff, you know, day-to-day problems that we need to know how to resolve.
So my name is Céline Durand-Villiers. I'm part of the 7th generation of papermakers who've taken care of this mill. We also create paper dresses at the mill. You can wear them for a fashion show. They're creations made by an artist every year for a paper dress show. I've modeled them myself. The idea is to look like a statue. So she put me on a sort of pedestal with spotlights on me. And hornets were attracted to the lights and flew up into the dress. And they were crawling on my back. I was scared, I must admit it. So I got off the pedestal, and that was the end of my playing statues, you could say.
Castelnaudary, a small city on the Canal du Midi, boasts its biggest port. It's the world capital of cassoulet, a hearty bean stew created during the 100 Years' War. The origins of the dish have been fought over through the ages. Castelnaudary, Carcassonne, and Toulouse all claim it as their own. Not far from Castelnaudary is the birthplace of the cassole, the pot that gave the dish its name. In the oldest pottery workshop in southern France.
The boss.
No, nobody's really the boss, you know? It's a family, where everybody knows what needs to be done, and nobody's really the boss. There are no real bosses, but everybody takes responsibility, that's it. My name's Robert, and I'm one of the Not family. And we got this workshop from our father.
I'm Philippe, Robert's son. And all three of us work here.
Jean-Pierre, Not. I've been working here since 1982.
They've been producing ceramics here since 1857. Even today, the cassole is still handmade. However, the true shape of the ceramic bowl has always been the subject of debate.
We make the traditional cassole from Castelnaudary, the authentic cassole. The other ones, the ones that have slightly rounded sides, are industrially produced. So those are the two models that exist. We can make about 60 to 80 cassoles a day. You have to caress the clay like this. You have to caress it to give it, or rather to get it to give you what you want. You see, it's very, you have to be sensual with the clay.
The clay is like a woman. You have to caress it to get anything out of it. If a pretty woman comes into the workshop, we're obviously going to think of something else. No, seriously, we really do think about what we were telling you. The VAT.
At home, I do the cooking. Really? So we use a lot of dishes like these, for cassoulets, of course. This one's called a diable, a devil. It's a pretty old shape for a pot. We used it to cook chicken, for roasts, or for stews that simmer in the kitchen. There you go, chicken à la notte.
Further along the Via Aquitania. Midway along the route lies ancient Tolosa, present-day Toulouse. From here, you can follow the Garonne River to Bordeaux. Lauragais, a rich and fertile landscape spreading out over 927 square miles southeast of Toulouse, also known as Pays de Cocagne, the land of milk and honey. Toulouse, formerly the capital of the province of Gallia Narbonensis Secunda. When the Romans began to subjugate the area, Tolosa began to compete for first place with the old capital, present-day Narbonne. The Roman amphitheater of Purpont in Toulouse. Built in the 1st century BC, it served as a venue for gladiatorial contests for about 350 years. After the fall of the Roman Empire, it ended its days as a quarry. Montauban. Approximately 31 miles north of Toulouse, the city lies at the mouth of the Tescou in the Tarn. Countless dovecotes line the river and the region. Their silhouettes are an integral part of the landscape. In ancient Rome, pigeons were primarily of military importance as winged messengers. Gaius Julius Caesar even used them when he conquered Gaul. By keeping pigeons, the Romans spread the Roman columbarium, the dovecote, throughout Central Europe. In France, pigeonniers could be found throughout the whole country, more commonly in wheat-growing regions than on barren soil. At the end of the 17th century, there were up to 42,000 of them, such as the dovecote in Pommevic, dating back to the 18th century.
So why do I like dovecotes? When I was a kid, I used to spend my holidays in the Tarn and Garonne, where my grandparents lived, and we had a dovecote there. My name is Michel Lucien, and I'm passionate about cultural heritage. I give conferences, I do discovery walks, and I try to get as many people as possible interested in saving this part of our cultural heritage. You see, if you count how many pigeonholes there are 800 here. You know that this dovecote was built on a 400-hectare estate. That's almost 1,000 acres. Because you couldn't have more than 2 per hectare. That was the rule. So there'd be enough in the fields for them to feed on. Personally, I can't help marveling at how many pigeonholes there are here. That's right. This is where the word pigeonhole comes from. When you think that there are 800 of them here, you have to respect and admire the people who built all that. Unfortunately, most people don't notice this sort of thing until it's too late. Take these dovecotes, for example. No one's been taking care of them since the 1900s. They've been abandoned, so the pigeons are gone. And when the last pigeon disappears, part of the country lifestyle will go with it, which is really a shame.
Even today, dovecotes can be found on aristocratic or feudal estates, like the Pigeonnier de Nadès, owned by a former honorary consul of Malta.
My name is Monsieur Azopardi François, and my wife is Jeanne. We've been here since 1962, when we had to leave North Africa. That's where we were born and where we lived. Come on, Tina, come on. Let's go. Her name is Tinades. She's 32 years old. And she can open any gate. If we don't tie her up, she'll open anything. She was a prize winner. Between her and her mother, they won almost a dozen prizes. The mare is old, the tractor is old, and the farmer is old. We're all old, even the farmer's wife is old. What can you do? We'd have loved to stay young, but alas, it can't be done. She's gone. She's off to see the neighbors, so to speak. Should I stop her or let her go? If you want to stop her, we have to cut her off. Shall we stop her? Go and get her. Go and get her, go on. Too late, she won't come back now. She'll go to the neighbor's place. He has a horse. She'll come back later. She comes, she goes, she does as she pleases. She'll be back, but I can't say when. Tina, come on. Come on, you.
The farm is 300 years old.
She means the building, the house.
The house is 300 years old.
Well, that's what we've been told anyway. But the dovecote, though, we know for sure that that's very old. It's from the 13th century.
It's magnificent. It's older than we are.
That's for sure.
It's from the 14th century.
When we bought the farm, it was being used as a chicken coop. The hens had messed up the inside. The paintings were all scratched up and damaged. We only redid the ground floor. The walls are made of clay, so they're crumbling. But I'm going to fix it up. I'm going to fix up some mortar and fill in the holes because it's shifting. Every year it shifts. It's falling from up there because there are holes up there too. There are as many pigeonholes up there as down here. 1,200 altogether. 1,200 pigeonholes. And not a single pigeon.
The Agen Aqueduct, completed in 1847. With its 23 arches, the 1,902-foot-long aqueduct carries the Canal du Garonne, the continuation of the Canal du Midi, across to the Garonne River. In the summer of 107 BC, this was the site of the Battle of Agen, Roman legionnaires versus Germanic and Helvetian tribes. In the thick forest then covering the valley of Garonne, for once the Romans failed to conquer. Not far from Agen and the Via Aquitania, a Californian has successfully conquered her own empire. For over 30 years now. It's not quite as large as the ancient Roman one, but she got it in a rather more gentle way. It's a self-made empire that celebrates culinary pleasures.
When I found Clermont, it was a jungle. It was full of brambles and nettles. You couldn't even walk through this place. But I could imagine that there could be a garden here. But not just a garden planted in rows with beautiful flowers, but also where you would just walk outside and pull something from the tree and eat. Sort of, I call it backyard foraging. Not my tree. Good boy. Everybody asks me if I'm going to make cheese, and then I have to tell them that these are male goats. So they're going to be meat for my butchery and charcuterie classes. So we want to make sure they're well fed too. I do some programs that are specifically for butchery and charcuterie, where we actually work on the farm and with butchers and the farmers, and that includes going to the slaughterhouse or the abattoir to witness the slaughtering. It's done by professionals. So, however, I always ask my students to help me when I'm going to kill a chicken or a hen for a Sunday dinner, because I think it's important for them to experience that.
Peter and Casey. Bonjour. Bonjour. She's a good friend of Kay. Did you meet her before?
Yes, we have met.
She's very French. She's my French side of me. If I could be French, I would be Vétu. Just her name, Vétu.
What did you put in there?
Well, I put garlic, onion, thyme, bay leaf. And because we're in Gascony, I put in some white Gascon flock.
It's delicious.
You bet it is.
It's good. Oh, what's that?
It's called a daddy long legs. It's full of protein.
Vetu has always been my godmother in the kitchen. She's the one I go to when I have a question or I want to learn how to do something. Or she's a very educated palate, and she's a wonderful spirit. Well, I've always loved to travel, so I've thought of myself as a gypsy in the sense of moving, having my home with me, moving from one place to another, and making myself at home wherever I lived. In the late 1980s, I was traveling on my boat along the Canal du Midi, and I made a friend in Agen, and he called me one day and he said, "There's a ruin for sale." And I said, "I don't need an old house. I live on my boat." He says, "But it's on the canal, and it has a pigeonnier." And I wasn't sure what a pigeonnier was. And then I came here, and I saw the pigeonnier just standing by itself with no roof, a tree growing in the middle of what the kitchen is now. I fell in love immediately. It was like a doll's house. It's very small, and I thought it would be a beautiful place to park the boat and have as my home port, my port d'attache. Oh, what are you doing here? My name is Kate Hill, and I am a writer and a cook, a guide, a gardener, and I receive people here at my home in Caumont, which I created as a place that people could come and learn about cooking, but also learn about life. Can I go into the kitchen? Yep. Thank you. Look, that's great. Good job. That's great. Voilà. Thank you. Un peu de tout. Un peu de tout. Too much. Ça. Thank you. Thank you. It's delicious.
Aquitania, country of water. At the time, just swamps, lakes, and brooks. In the middle of the Sauternes region, a stretch of paved road is evidence of where the Via Cassia crossed the Gaulish road. Discovered in the 1970s during construction of the A62, it is lovingly protected by the Via Aquitania Club, archaeologists and lovers of Roman culture.
We're walking over 2,000 years of history here. It's a road that led to the imperial road towards Barsac. In Gallo-Roman times, imperial roads didn't necessarily go through the towns.
To actually walk on the Via Aquitania, you'd have to walk smack in the middle of the highway.
The highway ate up most of the Via Aquitania that went to Narbonne. So all the modern engineers had to do was to follow the Roman engineers' old routes. They drew a good route back then.
So, in fact, we are actually the protectors of this road.
The protectors? Of this one? Oh, definitely.
We're the menders of the Roman roads.
That's one way of putting it.
No, a nice way of putting it. Volunteer road menders, I should add.
Bazadais. It earned its place in history with the Roman conquest of the Vazat tribe, as well as for its breed of cattle, because for the past 700 years, Festival of the Fat Oxen has been celebrated in Bazas. In 1970, there were only 700 of them left. Today, around 3,300 Bazadais can be found once again grazing on this land between Gironde and the Pyrénées. Previously bred only for their milk and as pack animals, today they are a much sought-after delicacy.
As you can see, I'm a stock breeder for the Bazadez. We're very proud of our breed. And we're very proud of our traditions here in Bazas. So when we wear this costume for a parade, we're very happy. It's like a break from our work.
He's got a high voice. He knows who's calling. They always listen to me. Well, I've lived with them, you know. That's all there is to it. I live with them.
Henri was an extraordinary breeder. Before that, he ran a feedlot, fattening them up. He taught me everything I know, and I'm lucky to have worked with him. He's an excellent farmer with a capital F, and a wonderful, generous man, funny and very friendly.
I started working this farm 60-odd years ago. I did 42 farm shows in Paris and about 30 shows in Toulouse. It was my job, how I earned a living. I sold a lot of livestock to the slaughterhouse, and I fattened them up. It was morning and night. Like they say, all things come to an end. Nothing lasts forever.
My name is Nathalie Morlot. My grandfather, who bought this land, and my father were building contractors. My maternal grandparents owned tracts of forest, and they had milk cows. They were more into the dairy side of things. Mother often says to me, "But what's the point? Why? Why are you doing this?" I always say, it's my weakness. But like I always say, I'd rather buy cows than jewelry, that's all.
My name is Karen McCulloch, and this is my husband, Andrew McCulloch. In England, we produced Bazadets. Mainly at the beginning, we used the Bazadet for crossing. We were so pleased with the race that we decided to try and produce a herd that was pure. Most of all, I prefer to breed them for the genetics. I think they're a very special breed. There's not many of them. Everyone asks me the same question, am I here for the sun or the wine? No, we came just for this breed.
For me also, it is all about the genetics. But unlike my wife, the red wine is a plus here for me. There are cows here called Heineken, Holstein, Drambuie.
Guinness.
And for me, it is important to have a theme. Touch, touch, touch all the time, just to keep them calm.
Having been attacked with horns and being attacked without horns, I prefer the ones without the horns. We remove the horns when the young calves are like 2 or 3 days old. Here, you seem to be frowned on if you remove the horns, but for me, I say you don't eat the horns, so there's no problem.
Bordeaux, also known as Little Rome. Bordigala was the capital of the province of Aquitania, and at that time was a seaport. Because of its shape, it was also known as the Moon Harbor. With space for about 15,000 spectators at the bloodthirsty games, the Palais Gallien Arena was built at the end of the 2nd century AD. This is the only Roman relic above ground left in Bordeaux. And this is where our journey along the Roman road, the Via Aquitania, ends.